From cheating against your former coach to getting ejected even before the game starts. These are MLB pitchers busted for cheating in the MLB. Julian Tavares, St. Louis Cardinals. If there's anybody you shouldn't cheat against, it's someone that you used to cheat with. But Tavares seemed to forget that when he used the banned pine tar to pitch against his former team, the Pirates. It was his former manager, Lloyd McClendon, who alerted the umpire that Julian was playing as dirty as his hat. Really is your own people that sell you out, isn't it? Despite denying it, the umpire Joe West wasn't having it. He ejected Julian, who subsequently got suspended for 10 games. A punishment his new boss felt was too harsh. After the game, Cardinals manager Tony La Russa said, "It was a very minor thing, and I'm shocked that it would be worth games days. Hey, at least Tavares only got caught in the 8th inning and threw a few pitches before getting caught." When this next player faced his former team, his former boss, knowing how bad of a cheater he was, didn't even let the game begin before calling the umpires to check. Joel Peralta, Tampa Bay. That's right, Joel Peralta hadn't even made it to the mound yet when Nationals manager Davey Johnson asked for him to be checked. You see, coaches usually wait for a play to be suspicious before calling for a check, but not Johnson. He knew his players like the back of his hand, even the ones that don't play for him anymore. To everyone's surprise except his, Joel Peralta's glove had pine tar on it. Busted! When asked, he said it was his practice glove. Really, Joel? That's the best excuse you could come up with? Were you practicing to cheat, or what exactly? Peralta's coach, Joe Madden, was angry, but not at who you might think. He was instead angry at Davey Johnson for speaking up and breaking one of the unwritten rules in baseball. When he spoke to Washington Post, James Wagner, he used strong words aimed at Johnson, words we can't really say here. Whether it was supposed to make the Rays feel better for losing their pitcher, the umpire asked Madden to have one of the opposing players checked. Maybe the officials also thought that Johnson ratting out a player like that was uncalled for. Johnson defended himself by saying that word on the street was that Peralta was a cheater. But the truth is, Johnson knew about the possibility of Peralta using tar because, as established before, he used to pitch for the Nationals under him. In any case, let's not forget that at the end of the day, someone cheated here, and that should be the main focus. Anyway, while Peralta was found guilty before hitting the diamond, some cheaters, despite proof, just can't seem to get caught that easily. Caleb Smith, Diamondbacks. Caleb Smith, part-time pitcher, full-time magician. Yep, this pitcher pulled a David Blaine on all of us in a game between the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. In the midst of the MLB's crackdown on banned substances, more scrutiny was placed on pitchers and checks became more frequent. But that didn't stop Caleb Smith from doing what he wanted. He was seen touching his belt multiple times during pitches, and we can assure you that it wasn't because his pants were loose. When the umpire grew suspicious and had him inspected, they found nothing. But Caleb wasn't off the hook just yet. There was a brown spot on his trouser that grew bigger and bigger after every pitch, and the umpires were onto him once again. This time when they checked his glove, they found 2 broken, sticky spots on it, and he was ejected. Smith lost it at that point. He said it was just dirt, nothing more, and maybe he wasn't lying. Besides, it took 2 checks for the officials to find dirt on him, literally or metaphorically. Troy Lavello, manager of the Diamondbacks, had this to say about the whole situation. "I believe my player. I stand by my player." He said there was nothing malicious happening. Caleb Smith, in his own defense, insisted that not only is he innocent, but if he ever cheated, he wouldn't do it in a mediocre way. Quote, "If I cheated, I'd own up to it, but they're, I guess, saying I cheated, and just by doing that, it drags my name through the mud." Then he added, "I'm not stupid. I know that the main 2 things that they check are your glove and your hat. If I'm using something, which I wasn't, I wouldn't put it in my glove or my hat. That's just ignorant." Sorry, Caleb, but the MLB doesn't care how you feel. You're still going to serve that 10-game ban. But do you think he actually cheated? Anyway, Caleb hasn't been the only Smith that's been caught cheating. Will Smith, Brewers. Will Smith. No, not the genie Will Smith, but the Atlanta Braves Will Smith. This Smith is clearly new to the cheating game because what he did was so obvious that even people watching TV noticed it. The Braves spotted a shiny white spot on his arm and wasted no time in telling the umpire, and they in turn didn't waste any time ejecting him. Smith didn't even bother arguing and took the sad walk of shame to the dugouts, cussing on his way. For someone who shares a first and last name with the Fresh Prince, he's been doing some pretty unfresh things, hasn't he? Anyway, one thing is for a player to cheat, but how about more than one in a team? Framber Valdez, Astros. Everybody knows teamwork makes the dream work, and boy does the Houston Astros know how to work as a team. When it comes to cheating, that is. Astrogate sounds like a conspiracy theory about the government in space, but it's not. The Astros cheated themselves into a World Series title with sign stealing and other means, which took the effort of the whole team. But since the sign stealing sin is already old news, here's one of their players carrying on their legacy. A clip of Framber Valdez went viral of him repeatedly touching his wrist before every pitch. Quite the itchy palms you got there, Mr. Valdez. But when he was asked about it, he said it was nothing more than a way to distract batters. He was actually quoted as saying, "Nobody should think it the wrong way. Those are just tendencies I do throughout the game, distracting the hitter from what I'm doing." But with the way he wiped his hands on his uniform, umpires would have an easier time finding a needle in a haystack than getting any foreign substance on Valdez. Valdez must think himself smart for getting away with that one, and maybe Mike Pineda should tear a page or two from his cheat sheet. Mike Pineda, Yankees. But did Mike Pineda even need any secret to cheat when he did what he did against the Red Sox in 2014? The answer is no. The dark spot on his arm was obvious during the Yankees' blowout win against the Sox, but they didn't complain. Since nobody hassled Pineda in the game, he got bold. Like, really bold. By their next matchup 2 weeks later, Pineda still wasn't even trying to hide the fact he was cheating. It was like he was begging to be ejected. This time around, he was indeed ejected. You could tell Pineda knew that even the flimsiest of excuses couldn't help him much here, and so he didn't even bother to appeal the case. But he was embarrassed by the incident, and so was the MLB. This incident left the MLB fazed by how unapologetic players were getting for cheating. One of the MLB's executives, Brian Cashman, voiced his disappointment for the whole situation. "I think we're all embarrassed. We as a group are embarrassed that this has even taken place. I think Michael's embarrassed. I think we're embarrassed that somehow he took the field with that in the position like that. It's just obviously a bad situation, and it clearly forced the opponent's hand to do something that I'm sure they didn't want to do, but they had no choice but to do. And when the league started a serious crackdown on cheating, they were catching cheaters like it was open season. The MLB decided to start random mandatory checks on pitchers as a way to curb this apparent epidemic of pitchers cheating. And it was only a matter of time before they caught another culprit, Hector Santiago. When the Mariners faced off with the White Sox, Santiago's edgy behavior definitely caught the attention of the umpire. When he was called to get inspected, he tried to joke his way to the dugout, but he knew he couldn't escape justice. When the officials found a substance on his glove that shouldn't be there, they made sure they made an example out of Santiago, hitting him with a 10-game ban. Where there's a will, there's a way, they say. As long as there's a game to win and a championship at stake, players will do any and everything to win, including breaking the rules. If you enjoyed this video about MLB pitchers busted for cheating, check out the video on the screen now, or the one we posted below, because we're sure you'll like that one too. See you there.